This is Michael Popok. You're on the New Legal AF YouTube channel, and these are unprecedented circumstances. And we got breaking news and a shape-shifting story in Donald Trump's criminal conviction case in New York. We were going to report today on Judge Merchan issuing his order as to whether the immunity decision from the summer applied to things before Donald Trump was even president in the convictions in New York. But that's not what we got today. Instead, we found out for the first time that between Friday and Sunday, the prosecution and the defense were in talks to delay the entire proceeding, including the immunity decision and the sentencing on November 26th, to give the people time to consider the impact of Tuesday's election on the sentencing and future deadlines. In other words, prosecutor needs to catch its breath because citing the same language that was used by the federal prosecutor, Jack Smith, that this is unprecedented circumstances, that your defendant, your criminally convicted defendant in New York, just got elected president and has to go through presidential transition activities to take his constitutional oath of office to be the president. How does that back up and impact sentencing for somebody that committed crimes before they were president? And the prosecutors have said basically they agree with Donald Trump's lawyers that it's going to take a minute to get their minds around all this. The Donald Trump's lawyers had apparently threatened that they were going to file a motion to dismiss on immunity grounds and on the election results if they didn't agree to stay everything. So that led, again, we're just getting this now because it just got put on the docket today, even though it happened Friday over Sunday. That's what happens in New York practice where I practice. You send emails to the judge. The judge tells you whether things end up on the public docket and when. And so here's what went down and what it means. I'll give you the short answer. The judge is not going to issue his immunity decision today, although I think it would have been in favor of the people of the state of New York and against Donald Trump. It will be embargoed. It will be held by the judge. The only people that know are the judge and the judge's staff at this moment, what he would have done, because parties have asked for him not to issue it. The 26th of November, which was going to be the continued delayed sentencing for Donald Trump, that is still out there, although it stayed until the people, the DA, the Manhattan DA, have time to file in 1 week at 10 a.m. in the morning on the 19th of November their position about how they can sentence Donald Trump and not violate constitutional precepts related to Article 2 powers of the president, the incoming president, and the transition laws that are on the books about presidential transition. It's complicated. It's going to take them a minute. We'll continue to think through it. But we're not going to see another filing in this case or an order in this case from now until the 19th. Let me read to you what we just learned happened. I wanted to bring it right to your attention. Again, these things were dated Sunday night, Friday and Sunday night, but we didn't know about them until just now here on Tuesday. So apparently, beginning on Friday, Emile Beauvais, the lawyer for Donald Trump, reached out to Matt Colangelo, the lead lawyer for the Manhattan DA, and said, we're going to file a motion. If you don't put a stop to this right now, or at least delay it, we're going to file a motion to dismiss and you'll have to deal with that. The people thought, well, maybe we don't need that motion right now. And the feds are doing the same thing. Jack Smith in the Chutkan case, the DC election interference criminal trial, just filed last week the same language, unprecedented circumstances. We need until the beginning of December, till December the 2nd, to inform the court about how this case should or should not continue. We know that at the end, the feds are going to dismiss the case, dismiss the indictment against Donald Trump based on longstanding DOJ principles that you can't prosecute a person who's now going to be president of the United States, even if they committed crimes the last time they were in office. So here's what happened. The judge then got an email that we just learned about today on Sunday night or Sunday morning at 8:30 in the morning. That must have been fun, waking up to that email inbox. Dear Justice Merchan, this is Matt Colangelo for the DA's office. We are writing to advise the court that on Friday, defendant Trump asked the people, the DA, to agree to stay of these proceedings in order to provide time to review and consider a number of arguments based on the impact of this proceeding from the results of the presidential election, defendant's forthcoming certification as the president-elect on Jan 6th, and his inauguration on Jan 20. In the alternative, the defense said, if we don't agree to this stay, they're going to file on Monday, yesterday, a motion to stay all the proceedings. But that's not required now because they've agreed. So we won't be seeing another filing by anybody until the 19th. The people agreed that these are unprecedented circumstances, same language as Jack Smith used in the federal case, that the arguments raised by defense counsel in correspondence to the people on Friday require careful consideration to ensure that any further steps in these proceedings appropriately balance two competing interests: a jury verdict of guilt following that trial that has the presumption of regularity, and two, the office of the president. Accordingly, the people respectfully request the court adjourn the upcoming scheduled dates to afford the people time to assess these recent developments and set November 19th as a deadline for the people to advise the court regarding our view of appropriate steps going forward. The people have consulted with the defense counsel, Trump's lawyers, who consent to this request. Respectfully submitted, Matt Colangelo. Now, we know behind that in the chain, Emil Bove also wrote on Sunday, an hour later, to the judge as follows. Dear Justice Merchan, President Trump joins the prosecutor's request to stay the existing scheduled dates, including the dates for your decision on the pending immunity motion, that would have been due today, and sentencing. There are strong reasons for the requested stay and eventual dismissal in the interest of justice under the Supreme Court's decision in Trump versus the U.S., and they cite to the Presidential Act of 1963, 3 U.S.C. 102. So they're basically saying you can't impede the incoming president, even during this transition period, because there's laws on the book for Congress that oust the ability to do prosecution and sentencing. I'm not sure that's exactly true. I'm going to dive into that for future hot takes. The special counsel's office recently sought and obtained the same stay of relief in the District of Columbia. That's the Jack Smith case I referenced. And they are reportedly considering dismissing both of their prosecutions. Newsflash. The feds are going to dismiss Mar-a-Lago prosecution and D.C. election interference prosecution sometime in December before the certification. The stay and dismissal are necessary, Trump's lawyers continue, to avoid unconstitutional impediments to President Trump's ability to govern, which the broader argument that we made to the prosecutors on Friday. The judge then responded on Sunday afternoon at 2:30, working overtime. The joint application for stay of the current deadlines, including the decision on the immunity decision until November 19th, is granted. The people are to file with this court your view of appropriate steps going forward. Please make such filing by 10 a.m. on November 19th. Please file this correspondence on the docket immediately on Tuesday. Boom, immediately filed on Tuesday. And here we are in Legal AF talking about it. Let me give you the summary and what's going to happen next. Nothing's going to happen in this case until November the 19th. No filings, no deadlines. The judge is not going to publish a decision I'm sure he already wrote on immunity. I'm not sure they agreed to delay the publishing, if you will, the actual order coming out, the Manhattan DA, because they were worried it would be against them. I just think that was the horse trade they needed to make with Trump in order to avoid more motion practice. So the pin is put in the case. The pin will be pulled out on the 19th. We will get a copy on 10 o'clock on the 19th of November about whether the sentencing is going forward on the 26th. It is looking highly unlikely, even if they decide to go forward with sentencing, that it's going to go forward on the 26th. Because any decision by Judge Merchan on this is going to be an automatic appeal, first to the state appellate levels. There's 2 levels, and likely to the United States Supreme Court. So the chances are probably now 0 that Trump is going to be sentenced for his pre-president crimes on the 26th of November, or really any time in the near future. Once he's in office, there's no federal court or federal Supreme Court that's going to allow him to be sentenced, even if the sentence is deferred. Because they're going to see it as an impediment and undermining his credibility. Not that we think he has any, and his constitutional role and office as the president of the United States. Not having this hangover on him of being a convicted felon while he's also the president of the United States. I think they're going to avoid all of that. The question is whether having the verdict happen, can sentencing be postponed for 4 years and still be constitutional and due process? I'm not sure. We're going to continue to follow it right here on Legal AF. I'll continue to do hot takes to analyze it. Come back here for it. We've got the receipts. Thanks for being here. And I want to thank each and every one of you, including the over 30,000 people that just joined and subscribed to this channel since Tuesday. 30,000 up. No other channel, I think, has that percentage increase. And I think it's because we sit at the intersection of law and politics. We don't blow smoke or sunshine. We'll tell you when we're right and wrong, and we'll tell you what's going to happen next based on our experience as practicing lawyers and mine as the head curator, if you will, for this channel. Till my next hot take, till my next Legal AF, the podcast. We got a lot to talk about on Wednesday's podcast. I'm Michael Popok, and I am reporting. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.